Today I'm revealing to you my top 15 favorite Disney characters of all time. And I think some of my opinions might surprise you. Hello everybody, Nicky Marra here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you've all had a fabulous week and are ready for yet another fun ranking video. Now if you have seen a single video of mine before, you may know that ranking Disney things is kind of my thing. I started my YouTube channel a little over a year ago and have gone through the many Disney categories and ranked some of our favorite characters, favorite Disney movies, and also ventured into the theme parks, ranking rides and also Disney parks characters. And well, while I definitely have broken down many different Disney categories and ranked them based off of that specific category, I have never really sat down and created a list of my favorite Disney characters, erasing all of those categories and all of the criteria that helps them to fit into that category. As an example, ranking Disney animals is really how successful they are at being a leading protagonist animal. Ranking characters as a princess tells us how successful or how endearing they are as a princess. And while many of these characters on my list today have ranked relatively high amongst the other category lists, I think a few of my choices today might surprise you, considering not all of these characters have ranked at the top of the lists before. But today's list is solely based on my own personal opinion. Doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about these characters, it is simply how they sit in my brain. They can be a live action character, they can be an animated character, they can be a Disney Parks character, or they can just be a character that has been in Disney's wheelhouse. This week, the categories truly do not matter, and it is all up to my own personal favorites list. But if you're new to the channel, hi, my name is Nicky Marra, and I am a Disney content creator. I got my start over on TikTok, but have joined the YouTube community and have been loving making long-form videos for you guys, of which I have brand new videos coming out every single Friday at 5 p.m. So make sure to hit subscribe down below so that way you never miss out on any future magic from me. And likewise, if you'd like to find me on any of my other social medias, my handle is @NickyMarra with 2 Y's and 2 R's, and you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat for even more magic. But as always, really quick before we jump into today's video, I do have some brief disclaimers and then conditions, or lack thereof, for the video. But if you would like to just jump right into my ranking list of my 15 favorite Disney characters, then you can head right to this timestamp. First and foremost, for the disclaimers, I do not speak for the Disney brand or the Disney company, and any and all thoughts and opinions in this video are just my own and do not reflect those of the brand or the company. But secondly, I do welcome any and all opinions surrounding these wonderful Disney characters down in my comment section. And likewise, I know a list of 15 favorite Disney characters is going to look a lot different for all of you out there versus what my personal 15 favorites would look like. So I more than welcome you to leave your 15 favorite Disney characters down in the comments. I cannot wait to hear of all of the Disney characters that rank up at the top for you, so make sure to give your favorite Disney character some love down in the comments. And thirdly, for the disclaimers, I do want to give a brief spoiler warning for all of the Disney movies and Disney characters that we're going to be talking about in today's video. As for a part of the ranking, we are going to be diving into who they are as a character, which could lead to some spoilers. And so if you don't want anything spoiled for a specific Disney character or their Disney movie, I recommend just jumping on up to the next number on today's list. But next, friends, we are moving into the conditions for today's list, or lack thereof. As in order to be ranked on today's list, these characters must simply just be in my top 15 favorite Disney characters of all time. Doesn't matter where they come from, doesn't matter who they are not being pulled from any specific category of Disney characters. They just have to be in my top 15 favorites. But all of that, friends, takes care of the disclaimers and conditions, so really quick before we jump into the ranking video, I am going to go through my brief list of talking points that we're going to be sure to touch on for each individual character. First and foremost, for each character, we are going to be identifying which movie, or if they even come from a movie. Secondly, we are going to be giving credit to either the voice actor or the actor who actually portrayed them in their live action sequence. Thirdly, we're going to go through a brief physical description of each character, as in what they look like. Fourth, we're going to be giving a brief description of their character arc through their story or wherever they come from. And finally, we're going to be discussing their representation in the Disney company, whether they come from a movie, if their presence in the Disney company expands beyond their movie into the theme parks. And the final 6 little points we are going to be sure to touch on is why do they end up in today's video? What makes them a personal favorite to me? So yes, friends, with all that being said, we do have a lot to discuss. So without any further ado, sit back, relax, grab yourself a snack and a drink, and let's discuss my top 15 favorite Disney characters of all time. We are starting today's list all the way down at the bottom at number 15. Who's the character Hades? Now, Hades can be found in the 1997 Disney animated film Hercules, and Hades is perfectly voice acted by actor James Woods. For his physical description, he is a tall, blue-skinned god with flaming blue hair, yellow eyes, and a dark robe. As for his character arc, Hades is the comedic yet very menacing god of the underworld. His main goal in his film is to overthrow Zeus and to claim the throne to Mount Olympus. His schemes are thwarted by our hero Hercules, and ultimately he faces punishment in the underworld. As for his representation amongst the Disney canon, he is a very popular character around Halloween time, specifically showing up in some Disney shows such as Hocus Pocus, Villain Spooktacular. He also does make appearances in Fantasmic during the villain sequence, and he is also very popular in merchandise and villain-themed games. But as for what makes this character rank in my top 15, well, I only have a few villains that make it into the top 15, and honestly, I find Hades so funny in his film. When James Woods was originally gearing up to voice act for Hades, he brought in the energy of a used car salesman to bring this character to life, and my god, does it work perfectly. Hades as a villain just feels super slimy and like a guy you would not want to run into in the real world. But that's what's part of his charm and what really makes us love to hate him. He is obviously pure evil, but not only with his character design, but also with his arc, he really brings that role of Disney villain to life in his animated film. If any of you are following me on Instagram, you might know that a couple years ago I did a Hades look for my trip to Disney for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and this was honestly such a fun character to dress up as and to embody for the night. Hades is so funny and so evil, and he just perfectly rides that line of comedy and evil. And so yes, because of all of this, he perfectly earns his spot in the last position of my top 15 favorite Disney characters. But next we're gonna move on up to number 14 on my list, my one and only Pixar character to make today's list. At number 14 is the character Remy. Now, Remy, of course, comes from the iconic 2007 Pixar film, Ratatouille, and this adorable little rat is perfectly voice acted by Patton Oswalt. As for a physical description, he is a very small blue-gray rat with a pink nose, a long tail, and very expressive eyes. As for his character arc, Remy is a rat with a strong passion for cooking. He defies all expectations in his film, bringing culinary greatness to a failing restaurant, proving that anyone can cook regardless of their background. As for his representation within the Disney company, Remy stars in Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, which is one of Disney's newest rides over in Epcot. And across the globe, he also appears in themed dining experiences, and also does some tiny little character appearances during certain festivals and shows. I think Remy is perhaps one of the most forgotten Disney protagonists with the largest arc. In his film, he truly defies any and all expectations and limitations that are placed upon him by not only his family, but also the human world. He is constantly told in his film that there are things that he cannot do that he loves because of who he is. When he decides to take risks and place himself in a situation that he normally wouldn't be in, it turns out in his benefit to where he is able to be exposed to an environment that he truly loves. And not only that, but he also thrives in that situation. From all of our view at the beginning of this film, there is no reason why Remy can't be one of the best in the culinary world. However, he really does have everything working against him. But regardless, this little rat is so persistent that he is finally able to make a name for himself in the city of Paris. Watching Remy's journey is honestly very inspirational, and again, much like Hades, I do love his moments of comedy as he is really funny in his film, but watching him go through all of the struggle that he faces in his film while still having a very kind and open heart really does make him a really great role model coming from this film. Yes, I just love Remy so much, and he definitely had to earn his place in my top 15 favorites, especially because he beat out 70 characters in not only part 1, but also part 2 of my ranking of Pixar characters. Spoiler alert in case you haven't seen either of those videos yet. But yes, seeing as he ranked super high in there, I knew I had to find a place for him in my top 15 favorites. He is so deserving and he's so cute, and I just love him. But with that, friends, we're gonna move on up to number 13 on my list. who is the character Quasimodo. Now, Quasimodo, of course, comes from the 1996 Disney animated film, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And as for the voice actor that brings this character to life, Quasimodo was perfectly voice acted by Tom Hulce, who provided both the speaking and singing voice for the character. As for a physical description, Quasimodo is a young man with reddish hair, a hunched back, and an asymmetrical but equally as gentle face. He has very simple and tattered clothing, but all of that is erased by his kind and sweet demeanor. As for the character arc, Quasimodo is raised by Claude Frollo, however begins to long for life outside of Notre Dame. Through his friendship with Phoebus Esmeralda and a lot of other characters in this film, he finds the courage to stand up for what is right, he learns self-worth, and ultimately becomes a true hero. And as for his representation within the Disney company, while Quasimodo is very rarely seen in any character meet and greet circumstances, he does appear in some special events, parades, nighttime spectaculars, and even stage shows, most notably of which was the show Disney Dreams, which could be found in Disneyland Paris. He's occasionally featured on Disney merchandise, such as in certain Heroes and Villains collections, and he is very recently featured in the nighttime spectacular Fantasmic during the Heroes segment. Quasimodo, without a doubt, had to earn a place in the top 15 favorite characters for me because this character truly feels like one of the only representations of a disabled hero. It is stated right from the beginning of his film that he is disfigured and not like everyone else, and while so many of the evil characters in this movie define him by that, his disability, so to speak, never affects him throughout his film, and really only proves that he is just like everybody else with that kind, sweet, gentle demeanor. And while others define him by his appearance, he proves in his film that he is not to be defined by what he looks like, but rather by his sweet, gentle heart. Quasimodo is easily one of the kindest Disney characters that we can find in any Disney film, especially when we take into account that he has been treated so poorly by society. I think all of the circumstances that this character is placed into and all of the ways that he conducts himself in life and the decisions that he makes shows us that he is probably one of the strongest Disney characters that's ever been created. He is a character who is easily able to be judged by first appearance. However, any and all initial judgments are absolutely squashed after you spend a few moments with him. And I truly believe that all of this not only makes Quasimodo a very strong protagonist, but also a very strong role model. He's able to push away any and all opinions that others may have of him and conduct his life in the way that he wants to. His song Out There beautifully explains how much he wants to go out into the outside world, even after Judge Claude Frollo has instilled all of these really bad thoughts into his brain that the world will not accept him. Quasimodo is easily one of the best Disney characters that Disney has ever created, and I would really love to see more characters just like him in the company's future. Quasimodo is inspirational, deserves so much more park presence, and yes, absolutely deserving of a top 15 placement on my list. But next, friends, we're gonna move on up to number 12 on my list. We're gonna talk about another hero. At number 12 is the character Hercules. Now, Hercules can also be found in the 1997 Disney animated film Hercules. In this film, Hercules has 3 separate voice actors. The first of which is Tate Donovan, who voices the character as an adult. The second of which is Josh Keaton, who voices Hercules as a teenager. And the final voice actor for Hercules is Roger Bart, who performs all of the singing for this character. As for a physical description, Hercules is a tall, muscular young man with curly reddish blonde hair, blue eyes, and a very heroic demeanor. As for his character arc, Hercules begins as a very awkward teenager. Through some trials and heroic deeds, Hercules proves himself a true hero, performing one of the most heroic deeds, sacrificing himself for true love, which eventually earns him the right to be considered a true hero by the gods of Olympus. As for his representation within the Disney company, Hercules can occasionally appear in the Disney parks for special occasions, such as Halloween parties and some stage shows. And while he is not a stable, steady meet and greet character in the Disney parks, he has been talked about quite a bit more as of recently, as there have been a couple of stage versions of Hercules that have popped up, including a brand new stage show for the Disney Cruise Line, but also over on the West End in a professional production. Hercules has been getting a lot of love as of recently, and I absolutely love that he's getting more recognition. He so deserves it. But let's get into why this character makes the top 15 of my list. Hercules in his film is a character all about self-discovery, seeing as we get to spend time with him in multiple stages of his life. If I'm not mistaken, I think he is the Disney character that has the most screen time as all three: a young child, meaning a newborn baby, a teenager, meaning in adolescence, and then finally as an adult. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's the character we spend the most amount of time with in each stage of life. But the amount of time that we spend with him in each of those three stages really allows us to spend time with him growing up. We, as the audience, feel like we are growing up with Hercules, seeing as it's not the little showing of child, click, suddenly they're an adult. We see that with a lot of Disney characters, but Hercules is not one of them. And in getting to spend time with him in multiple stages of life, we see the struggle that he starts off with. He does not fit into society, and his strength actually works against him in his everyday life. As he grows and trains with Philoctetes, he's able to overcome the struggle that comes with being a god in the real world, and eventually uses all of his godlike abilities to become a true hero. Likewise, we also spend quite a bit of time with him as he falls in love with Megara. Hercules is not only a sweetheart in nature, as he treats Meg so sweetly, but I think Hercules also has a really great lesson in forgiveness, seeing as we learn that Meg is not entirely truthful initially working for Hades. When Hercules finds this out, of course, he's initially hurt. However, it is after he learns this that he sacrifices his own life. The relationship between the two leading love interests in this film, Hercules and Meg, really does show how balanced of a relationship they have. Meg brings the sarcastic, witty energy, while Hercules brings that sweet, loving nature. And the two of them really do balance each other out wonderfully. So the reason why Hercules makes it into my top 15 is that I truly feel like he's one of the most well-rounded characters. We spend time with him when he's very little, we spend time with him as a teenager and also as an adult. We have a very strong I Want song in Go the Distance. And we also get to see what he's like not only helping society, but also what he's like in a romantic relationship, even to the point of sacrificing his own life for his true love. Hercules, again, is not only a well-rounded character, but also a very strong role model for young people of all ages. And his presence in his Disney movie, I really truly believe, shows us what it means to be a true hero. It's a lesson that Hercules himself learns in his film, but it's also a lesson that all of us at home can learn from the Greek god himself. But next, friends, we're gonna move on up to number 11 on my list, who is truly an unsung hero. At number 11, is the character Ray. Now, Ray can be found in the 2009 Disney animated film, Princess and the Frog, and this character is perfectly voice acted by actor Jim Cummings. As for a physical description, Ray is a Cajun firefly with a snaggletooth, a glowing abdomen, and while he may be small and scrappy, he has a big heart. As for his character arc, Ray serves as not only comedic relief, but also a strong, true friend to Princess Tiana and Prince Naveen. He dreams of reuniting with his love, Evangeline, who we find out is the North Star, and after passing heroically, we see him actually reunite with Evangeline as a star. Oh, I just love him so much. But as for his representation within the Disney canon, Ray appears in a lot of Princess and the Frog merchandise, and he is even acknowledged in Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which, while the events of that ride actually take place after Princess and the Frog, we actually get to see a couple representations of him in there. The first of which is as a star on the crown, which you can see on the water tower outside of the ride. And you can also hear his beautiful lullaby, Ma Belle Evangeline, playing as you float down the bayou in your very own log. Occasionally, he's also featured in some nighttime shows, but he also does have a really cute moment of representation in the Disney Festival of Fantasy Parade in Magic Kingdom. As you can see him right behind Princess Tiana and Prince Naveen. Oh, he's so cute, and I'm so glad that they included him in this parade. But as for why this character makes it into my top 15, Ray is such a heroic character. I love how much he shows up for his best friends. And while our friend Ray is not the best at keeping secrets, it ends up working out in his favor, seeing as he is able to bring together Princess Tiana and Prince Naveen. But the real reason why he ranks in my top 15 favorite characters is that Dr. Facilier truly would not have been thwarted without Ray's sacrifice. Ray puts his life on the line for Princess Tiana to know the truth behind the cursed amulet. And while Ray does lose his life in the runtime of this film, he does so becoming a true hero. And a hero that I feel like goes truly forgotten by many in the Disney community. I love this little firefly, and seeing as he is so unbelievably cute, I just immediately am drawn to him whenever I watch this film, and Yeah, I really, really love him. I don't know, he's just a true hero in my eyes. But with that, friends, we've reached the top 10 of my top 15 favorite characters. If you have any guesses as to who's gonna make it in my top 10, make sure to leave them down in the comments. But yes, friends, with that, we're gonna move on up to number 10 on my list. Who is the character? Dumbo. Oh my god, how cute is he? Now, Dumbo can be found in the 1941 Disney animated film Dumbo, and in this film there is no voice actor or actress attributed to the character, seeing as he is a silent leading character in a Disney film. As for a physical description, he is a baby elephant with oversized ears, but along with that he has blue eyes and one of the sweetest expressions you'll ever see in a Disney film. As for his character arc, while he is initially mocked for his oversized ears, Dumbo discovers that he can fly with a magic feather and also the help of his friend Timothy Q. Mouse, ultimately gaining fame and recognition which he is able to share with his mother. As for his representation within the Disney canon, Dumbo is the star of Dumbo the Flying Elephants attraction, which can be found at many Disney parks across the globe, and he also appears in many parades, has themed merchandise and snacks within the parks. Why Dumbo ranks in my top 15 favorites is that he is able to create such an emotional pull from audiences without saying a single word in his film. When we see Dumbo for the first time on screen, we are immediately taken with the adorableness that is placed in front of us. Dumbo is easily one of the cutest Disney characters ever created. But not only that, and not being able to speak, but he also has a full character arc, realizing that, again, something that he's initially made fun of for having at the beginning of his film, he turns into his greatest strength, seeing as he's able to shine past all of the other acts in the circus with his giant ears, which help him to fly. Dumbo is the epitome of not only being an adorable character, but also taking something that could be seen as an insecurity and turning it into your greatest strength. Dumbo is magnetic on screen in his film. I absolutely love him, and his representation in his Disney parks adds to the absolute enjoyment that I get from this character. Yes, Dumbo is in the top 10 favorite Disney characters of all time. Ooh, but next we move on up to number 9 on my list. And number 9 is Mary Poppins. Now, Mary Poppins, of course, comes from the 1964 Disney film Mary Poppins, and in this film she is perfectly portrayed by actress Julie Andrews, who won the Best Actress award for her role. As for a physical description, Mary Poppins is a neatly dressed woman with dark hair that is all tied up and typically wearing very smart attire, and she carries a magic carpet bag and a parrot-handled umbrella. As for her character arc within her film, Mary Poppins arrives at the Banks household to care for the children. She uses magical adventures and firm kindness to help heal a family before the winds change and she must leave, but not before teaching lasting lessons about family and love. As for her representation within the Disney parks, Mary Poppins regularly appears for meet and greets in Epcot in the UK Pavilion, and she also appears in a lot of parades and shows, including the Adventure Friends Cavalcade. But as for why she ranks in my top 10, well, Mary Poppins is practically perfect in every way. I think so much about what I love about this character is truly based on Julie Andrews' performance, seeing as there's no one that could have played this character for Walt's original Mary Poppins film. She is just perfection. She is perfectly snarky and also whimsical and balances that out perfectly. Her moments of sarcasm easily help you get a laugh, but she also has really sweet, tender moments where she is helping the Banks children. Mary Poppins is truly the whole package in terms of emotional range of a character, seeing as we know how much she loves and adores these children and is extremely sad to leave them. However, she has to do what she has to do because of her magic. Yes, Mary Poppins is absolutely, absolutely without a doubt a top favorite character for me, and all the more so because she happens to be one of my mom's favorite characters as well, so there's some Mary Poppins representation in there for you, Mom. Ooh, but next, friends, we're gonna move on up to number 8 on my list. We're gonna return to the villains briefly. At number 8 is the Evil Queen. Ooh, now the Evil Queen, of course, comes from the 1937 Disney animated film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And in her film, the Evil Queen is perfectly voice acted by Lucille Laverne. As for a physical description, she is a tall and imposing woman in rather regal attire, with a high collar, a black cloak, and a big golden crown. Likewise, though, in her film, she also transforms into the old hag, where she is completely unrecognizable. As for her character arc, she is obsessed with becoming the fairest one of all, even to the point where she completely erases all of her beauty to transform herself to trick Snow White into biting the poison apple. However, it's this decision that ultimately leads to her downfall. As for her representation within the Disney canon, the Evil Queen is often featured in parades, shows, and as regular meet and greet characters in many Disney parks, and likewise she is also heavily utilized around Halloween time. But as for what makes the Evil Queen rank in my top favorite Disney characters of all time, well, we must start with the fact that she was the first Disney villain ever, and likewise, I can easily argue that she is one of the most evil. I think people truly forget how evil this character is. If you go back and watch this film, the things that she does and says in this film are absolutely terrifying. She has it out to end the life of the sweet princess who leads this film, and she gets the absolute most pure joy in imagining her success of getting rid of Snow White. Like, it is really, really scary stuff. Likewise, though, we also get two different looks for the Evil Queen. First and foremost, her beautiful, gorgeous queen look. And while she is arguably very beautiful in her original form, she is so after the title of fairest in the land that she's willing to sacrifice all of her beauty to attain that title. And by going after Snow White and erasing her beauty, she becomes the true manifestation of what she is on the inside, which is the old hag. Likewise, she has one of the most iconic villain demises, seeing as her scream is even reused in future Disney animated films for other villain demises. But yes, the Evil Queen is absolutely evil, and I think there is such a scariness in the stoic representation of this character in her film. We don't see a ton of her, but when we do, she is truly, truly terrifying. And if you happen to meet her in the Disney parks, she's also quite scary there. But yes, I just love her. She is truly a villain that we love to hate. But next, friends, we're gonna move on up to number 7 on my list. This is a character I truly love but has so little representation. At number 7 is the Blue Fairy. Now, the Blue Fairy, of course, comes from the 1940 Disney animated film Pinocchio. And as for the voice actress attributed to the Blue Fairy was performed by Evelyn Venable. As for her physical description, she is a rather tall woman with blonde hair, a beautiful blue glittery dress, and gorgeous fairy wings. And as for her character arc, while she doesn't change too much in her film, seeing as she's meant to be a divine being, the Blue Fairy brings Pinocchio to life and guides him on his journey to becoming a real boy, emphasizing the utmost importance of honesty and bravery. And as for her representation within the Disney community, the Blue Fairy most often appears in nighttime spectaculars and occasionally appears in some very rare meet and greets, but most of the time, it's parades and nighttime spectaculars. Now, as for why this character ranks in my top 10, well, it is very clear from what the Blue Fairy teaches Pinocchio in his film that she has very important morals. She teaches Pinocchio to remain brave, true, and unselfish throughout his film. She is also a very forgiving character, seeing as Pinocchio does lie to her in the runtime of the film, but she is able to forgive him and remains a very true and protective figure over him. Now, believe me when I say this character seems like she wouldn't really reach the top favorites of a lot of people. She honestly stands out amongst the crowd for me. When I think of the Disney magic, truly what comes to the forefront of my brain is When You Wish Upon a Star, and that's the song I really attribute with the overall energy of Pinocchio and also with the Blue Fairy. And so while the first image that might appear to a lot of people is Tinkerbell over the castle, I think the Blue Fairy is truly an unsung figure within the history of Disney, especially considering that she appeared as the leading parade float of the Main Street Electrical Parade, which is probably one of the most iconic parades in Disney history, of which I also have an entire video ranking the Disney parades, which ended up being one of my favorite videos I've ever done, actually. But yes, this character is truly like such a background character in the Disney canon, but she just feels so special to watch on screen. Like, every time that she's on screen in Pinocchio, I can't help but just be absolutely magnetized to the screen, as she just truly embodies all of the Disney magic for me. Yes, truly an unsung magical figure in a Disney film, and I absolutely cannot wait to see her get even more representation in the upcoming Disney Starlight Parade, which is set to debut at the Magic Kingdom this summer. Oh, I can't wait for more Blue Fairy representation. I absolutely love this character. But next, friends, we're gonna move on up to number 6 on my list. We're not gonna stray too far from Blue. At number 6 is Wendy Darling. Now, Wendy Darling, of course, comes from the 1953 Disney animated film, Peter Pan, and in this film she is perfectly voice acted by actress Catherine Beaumont. And as for a physical description, Wendy is a young girl with brown hair tied up with a blue ribbon and wearing a blue nightgown. And as for her character arc, Wendy is a nurturing and imaginative young girl living in London who travels to Neverland, where she embraces adventure but ultimately chooses to return home and grow up. As for her representation in the Disney canon, Wendy regularly appears in not only parades, but also occasional meet and greets, as well as being able to be seen in Peter Pan's Flight, which is, of course, the iconic ride attributed to the character Peter Pan. Wendy absolutely is one of my top favorite Disney characters, seeing as she truly holds all of the magic of Peter Pan in her heart, being dismissive of others like her father, who believes that Peter Pan isn't real, and believing so heavily in him that he actually appears in her life and brings her to Neverland. Wendy absolutely seems like the Disney character who is so close to being a Disney adult, as I think so many of us hold this magic so dear in our heart, and Wendy is like the perfect representation of that, seeing as she does the same thing with Peter Pan. She is an extremely kind character, always very nurturing over her younger brothers, watching out for them and making sure that they are okay. But the thing that I think I love most about Wendy is that even though she may not always agree with her parents, of course, her mother and her father, she does have the highest respect for them, even singing a song dedicated to her mother. She appreciates where she's been, but she also knows her imaginative, creative mind and is going to stick with her guns when it comes to believing in the magic. Yes, Wendy absolutely reaches my top 15 favorite Disney characters. She is inspirational and I think truly an icon in the Disney community. Oh my god, but with that, friends, we've reached my top 5 of favorite Disney characters. Let's get into the top of the top. We are starting my top 5 with number 5 on my list, who is Snow White. Now, Snow White, of course, comes from the 1937 Disney animated film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And in her film, she is iconically voice acted by actress Adriana Caselotti. As for a physical description, Snow White is a young girl with fair skin, black hair, and red lips, often wearing a blue and yellow dress with a gorgeous red headband. As for her character arc, Snow White is incredibly kind and sweet to everyone that she meets. She is a very gentle princess who is targeted by her evil stepmother, the Evil Queen. She finds refuge with the Seven Dwarfs and eventually finds happily ever after. As for her representation in the Disney community, she is a staple in every Disney park, appearing in meet and greets, having her very own attractions, always appearing in nighttime spectaculars and parades. It is truly impossible to go into a Disney park without interacting in some way, shape, or form with this young princess herself. Snow White is an absolutely iconic character in the Disney canon. She is, of course, the very first Disney princess. She is also the titular character of Disney's first animated film. And even after all of these years, she is still as iconic in pop culture as anyone. Snow White is truly the embodiment of kindness, respect, and sweetness. That is not only reflected in her actions, but also all of the songs that she sings. One of my favorite quotes of hers comes from With a Smile and a Song, which is, "Remember, you're the one who can fill the world with sunshine." Snow White is an absolute icon. It just brings so much joy, and I honestly sometimes get so emotional still seeing this young princess dance down the street in some of our favorite parades. And she also has a beautiful appearance in the nighttime spectacular Fantasmic, which just absolutely cements her as an absolute icon, and it just feels like such a warm nod to Walt himself, who believed so heavily in this film. Yes, Snow White, absolutely. Even though she was the first one, she is amongst my absolute favorite Disney characters. Next, we're moving on up to number 4 on my list, who is Princess Tiana. Oh my god, another character I absolutely love. Now, Princess Tiana, of course, comes from the 2009 Disney animated film, The Princess and the Frog, and in her movie she is perfectly voice acted by Anika Nani Rose. As for a physical description, Tiana is a young woman from New Orleans with brown eyes, dark brown hair, and often seen in a gorgeous Bayou-inspired green ball gown. She is also very notably and very iconically the first and only African-American Disney princess. As for this character's character arc within her film, Tiana is a hard-working waitress who dreams of seeing her dream come true. That dream, of course, being owning and operating her own restaurant. After a rather transformative journey as a frog, she learns the importance of love and also to balance life and work. As for her representation within the Disney canon, Tiana is constantly featured in meet and greets, nighttime spectaculars, parades, stage shows, and even owns her very own Disney attraction in Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Princess Tiana is such a wonderful, wonderful character. She not only embodies all of the kind and sweet energy that comes with a Disney princess, but she is easily one of the most determined and hardworking Disney characters. It is from this film that we get one of my personal favorite mantras, which is not only wishing on stars, but working hard to make them come true. Tiana is not afraid to speak her mind and go after what she wants, but she also looks out for those around her, making sure that everyone is okay. I truly believe this character is an inspiration and also a nod of respect to all of the Disney princesses and Disney movies who came before her. I am so incredibly happy that Tiana has the park representation that she does, and I cannot wait to see what other adventures this princess goes on in the future. Tiana is an absolute inspiration, easily one of my two favorite Disney princesses, and I absolutely cannot help falling in love with her story again and again as I rewatch The Princess and the Frog. Oh my god, we're getting to my favorites. Next, friends, we're gonna move on up to number 3 on my list. This is the final villain of my list. At number 3 is the character Maleficent. Now, Maleficent, of course, comes from the 1959 Disney animated film Sleeping Beauty, and in her film she is perfectly voice acted by actress Eleanor Audley. As for a physical description, Maleficent is a tall, slender woman with pale green skin, very sharp features, a long black robe, and very tall black horns. As for her character arc, Maleficent is a scorned fairy who was not invited to Aurora's christening. She curses the young princess as retaliation, and does everything in her power to make sure her curse holds strong. And as for her representation within the Disney company, Maleficent appears in various park stage shows, parades, and iconically serves as the final battle in Fantasmic. As for why Maleficent ranks as one of my favorite Disney characters, this character is... I can't even put into words. I love her presence. She is a Disney character from a very early Disney film that is extremely strong, extremely scary, and very foreboding just in her presence. She doesn't even have to do a lot in order to be the most terrifying presence in the room. When she appears at Aurora's christening, the entire room is still and everyone speaks about her in fear. That all on its own shows how terrifying she is, as we as the audience have not even seen what she's capable of. She's regarded and speaks about being the mistress of all evil, and she holds up to that title throughout the entire film. I mean, when you think about it, yes, it is very simple terms that she was not invited to a birthday party, and for that, she does some extremely evil things. I can't even imagine the lengths she would go to if somebody did something really terrible behind her back. But in one of my absolute favorite moments in a Disney film, Maleficent's final battle with Prince Philip, she transforms into a fire-breathing dragon, cementing her as probably one of the most scary and most evil villain final battles of all time. She's even cemented herself as the official leader of the Disney villains. The brand new stage show coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios, Unfairly Ever After, she is one of the main villains that will be seen in that show. Likewise, I am absolutely certain that we will be seeing her in Villain's Land in the Magic Kingdom when that opens in years to come. And this fairy and her presence is just so strong, she is extremely present, which is something that I don't say about a lot of characters, but every time she's on screen, she is extremely demanding of attention, and it's just such incredible energy to see in a screen, especially because I feel like not a lot of animated characters have that ability. You mostly see that in like live action actors, but in an animated film, to see a character so determined to grab attention, she's just iconically evil, and I just love her. I can't even put into words. She's just one of my absolute favorite Disney characters. While I could talk about her forever, we do have to move on to my 2 final favorite characters. So with that, friends, we are gonna move on up to number 2 on my list. At number 2 is Mickey Mouse. I love this little mouse so much. Now, Mickey, of course, can be seen in countless animated shorts and across the Disney parks and just everywhere. But of course, his original debut animation was in Steamboat Willie in 1928. And while Mickey has also had quite a few voice actors, I do want to shout out the original, who was Mr. Walt Disney himself. As for a physical description, Mickey is an animated mouse with large circular ears, red shorts, yellow shoes, and big white gloves. As for his character arc, Mickey is the defining character of the Walt Disney Company, always bringing a cheerful disposition to any circumstance, often embarking on adventures and always being fiercely optimistic and perseverant through every circumstance. As for his park representation, once again, it is almost impossible to enter a Disney park without seeing the big man himself. Mickey is constantly in meet and greets, nighttime shows, parades, stage shows. He is anywhere and everywhere. But as for why Mickey falls in my top favorite characters, well, this character truly feels like the stand-in for Mr. Walt Disney himself, seeing as he is no longer able to be here. Seeing as Walt was the original voice of Mickey Mouse, there is such a strong correlation between these two. It's always extremely sweet to walk into the Disney parks and see Walt and Mickey and the partner statue. And I just love that Mickey has held on to this legacy of Walt and his parks and all of the magic that was created. It all exists, and it was all started with this little mouse, and how can we not absolutely honor and love him? Oh, I just love Mickey so much. There is nothing better than a Mickey Mouse hug, and he never fails to make me smile, even on my saddest days. Oh, but with that, friends, we have reached number 1 on my list of favorite Disney characters. If you've seen any of my videos before, I think you might know who might fall at number 1, but regardless, I still gotta announce it. Yes, friends, at number 1 on my list of favorite Disney characters of all time is Ariel. Now, Ariel, of course, comes from the 1989 Disney animated film, The Little Mermaid, and in this film, she is nothing short of perfectly voice acted by actress Jodie Benson. As for a physical description, Ariel is a young mermaid with bright red hair, blue eyes, and a green tail. As for her character arc, Ariel is a curious and adventurous young mermaid who dreams of living life on land. She makes a deal with the evil sea witch Ursula to become a human, and ultimately finds true love, bridging the gap between her 2 worlds. As for her representation within the Disney parks, Ariel is a steady, constant meet and greet character. She's also heavily featured in many Disney parades and nighttime shows such as Fantasmic, and she even has her own attraction in Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid in the Magic Kingdom, and will very soon have a brand new musical adventure over in Disney's Hollywood Studios. Now, before I get into why Ariel ranks as my absolute top favorite Disney character, I also do of course have to mention that the iconic portrayal of this character in the live-action version by Halle Bailey. I know a lot of people do prefer the original animated characters to live-action movies in general, but I do have to say I did find a lot of the same magic of this young mermaid in the live-action version as well, so a big shout out to Halle Bailey's performance of the character as well. But yes, why does Ariel rank as my number 1 favorite Disney character? Well, in a lot of ways, I almost feel as though Ariel is a self-insert into the canon of Disney characters. When watching her film, there are so many character traits and also events that happen in her movie that I feel so personally connected with. I feel like to many out there, there are obviously characters that we relate to very heavily, and for some reason, Ariel just happens to be the one that I relate to the most. Her curious, optimistic nature, but also her very hot-headed and sarcastic way of going about life is honestly so well-rounded and perfect. And I can't help but every single time when watching this movie, as soon as she appears on screen, my eyes are just glued to the screen. Like, I can't help but be enamored with the presence of this mermaid, as her existence is just extremely important to me in life, and it's really hard to describe why. It's just, I just love her endlessly. Her overall curious nature and always wanting to learn more about this world that she is so separated from is really inspiring, and her song, Part of Your World, is easily my favorite Disney song of all time. She is just truly such a well-rounded and deep character that I feel like so many people can relate to. More than anything, I have to say I admire Ariel for her determination, seeing as she sets her sights on something that very much seems impossible, especially when so many people in her film, like Sebastian and Triton, very much advise against it. But at her core, Ariel knows who she is, and she is not going to let anything come between her and her happily ever after. I have so much love and respect not only for the character of Ariel, but also the two iconic women who have helped bring her to life, Jodie Benson and Halle Bailey. And yes, this fiery young mermaid is going to remain my favorite for many years to come. But with that, friends, we have discussed 15 of my favorite Disney characters of all time. Thank you so much for joining me today. I had so much fun talking about all 15 of my favorite Disney characters. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit like and subscribe down below so that way you never miss out on any future magic from me. And likewise, if you'd like to find me on any of my other social medias, my handle is @NickyMarra with 2 Y's and 2 R's. And you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat for even more magic. I'm also going to put a link up above to my ranking playlist in case you want to discover all of my Disney favorites. I have been so loving making these ranking videos, and I did recently, back in March, hit my 1 year on my YouTube channel, and I am so excited for all of the magic that is yet to come, as I have absolutely loved getting to connect with each and every one of you and share our love for Disney, as that's kind of what fuels my life. But with that, friends, I'll say thank you again so much for watching. Stay magical, and until next week, I'll see you all real soon.